What's up, guys? JB here with iKoniKmodz, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new late night gaming mouse that I just picked up. Let's have a moment of silence. So this is the ViewCool Silent Gaming Mouse. Let's take a look. First thing we'll notice checking out the box is the branding across the front, as well as some subtle aesthetic details. On the top, you'll find the branding of the company as well. Flipping it around to the side, something you'll notice is the multitude of colors that the mouse comes in. Personally, I went with the black variant because, as you can see, most of my setup is black. Over here, you'll find a barcode as well as some, product numbers or whatever it is. It also says it's made in China, which that's kind of a given. Flipping the box around to the other side, we found actually a pretty nice surprise, whereas you find the company's email address as well as their Facebook page in case you need to contact them for anything. So that's pretty much it for the box. So let's crack it open and see what's inside. Pretty standard fare for most mice that you get nowadays. It comes in bubble wrap bag. There's a little manual here, wireless mouse. Again, you have the company information on the front of the pamphlet here, as you can see. But that's not something we're going to really use, so it doesn't really matter. So pulling it out, first thing we notice is the fact that it's got a matte coating on it, which is actually pretty great. I love that because I'm not really a big fan of the hard plastic or shiny plastic mice. And the reason for that is their fingerprint magnets like a mug, like you would never believe. In addition to that, they start to get sweaty and clammy after a couple hours of gaming. The mice start slipping out of your hand, and I'm not a big fan of that. Looking at the top of it, you'll notice your scroll wheel, which is pretty tactile for the most part. It's got a good bump to it whenever you move it, and the click on it, unfortunately, is loud, but that's something we'll address later. You'll also notice your DPI button here, which comes in 3 stages. Which maxes out, I believe, at 2400 DPI. Me personally, I kind of keep it at 2400 DPI. I'm a high DPI kind of guy. Then you've got your subtle branding here across the back. It's got a diffused look to it, which means that the LED kind of shines through it whenever it's on. Swinging around to the right side of the mouse, you'll notice there is a little bit of a different texture here. There is a harder plastic here on the side. With a little bit of a textured feel to it. It's not as far as magnet-wise, fingerprint magnet, but it, gives you a different texture so you can help grip the mouse. We swing it around to the other side, and you'll notice your front and your back buttons for your web browsing. If you're like me, you've remapped these buttons in some of your games, so you use those pretty often. Which again brings me to another point that I made a little while ago. When you click on these buttons, they're not silent, which is a problem for me personally. But I digress. It's kind of the going trend for most silent gaming mice. They tend to focus on only these 2 buttons here and not anything else. But that aside, we'll notice that that same texture pattern follows the trend down here below that. And just below that, you'll find a thumb rest wing here, which was an added bonus. I love the fact that they included that. The Schrocker that I had before, it did have somewhat of a thumb rest. It was very, very subtle. This one is a lot more pronounced. It kind of reminds me of the Corsair Glaive. For the most part, it's not as big as the Glaive's wing, but it's big enough. It gets the job done for sure. As you can see, this particular area kind of contours, so when you put your thumb there, it has a good amount of space under it to rest, which is a fantastic thing. So that aside, as you can see, there's a diffused area that kind of wraps all the way around the mouse. It's on the side here, wraps around the back here, and then back around the side here. You would think that's where it would stop, but that's not the case. It continues on. As you can see on here, under the buttons, back around to the other side. So it kind of goes full 360 on this particular thing. And that's where your LED, which happens to be red on this particular mouse, shines through whenever you move the mouse to let you know that it's being moved, the DPI, blah, blah, blah. So unfortunately, there's no way to turn the LED off. So you're just kind of stuck with the red color, which is not a real big deal for me because I use it late at night. It's not my primary mouse. So anyway, moving on to the bottom of the mouse, something you'll notice is your power button, which gives you off and on. You'll notice your sensor here. Yeah, the badging here, which lets you know it's a 2.4 hertz wireless mouse. It's made in China, obviously. And down here you have your USB dongle, which you just remove. Personally, this dongle is not as sturdy as the one that came on the Schrocker, but honestly, that's not a big deal. It's definitely not a deal breaker for me because typically you plug this in and you leave it alone. So I plug mine into the back of my motherboard and I kind of forget about it. So it's not a big deal for me. So we're just going to set that aside for now. Anyway, moving on. When you get to the battery housing, once you open it up, you notice that there's a misprint on the inside. At least it was on mine. It tells you that you need a AAA battery. This is absolutely not the case. You actually need a AA battery, which is pretty obvious once you open it. You see the size of space that you need to fill. A AAA is just not going to get it done. That's what she said. So, anyway, that's about it for the most part. You do have 3 sliding pads on here, which help it kind of glide pretty easily across the mouse pad, especially with that DPI being as high as it is. So that's a fantastic thing. So now that we've reviewed the mouse, let's jump right into a sound test. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the scimitar. Then we're going to go to Viku and the Shocker. Overall, my thoughts on the particular mouse is this. The Viku mouse, like the Shocker, is a lot quieter than your average gaming mouse or your average mouse in general. However, between the two, my Shocker is still quieter. The sensor on the Shocker is still a lot better. However, the Viku is not bad. The tracking on it and the sensing on it is pretty good. It's just not the best. I would prefer a better sensor on it. If the sensor itself was better, I would definitely, hands down, recommend this as the best silent gaming mouse. So if you really don't want to hear your wife say this,
stop with the clicking,
then your best bet's to pick up one of these mice. I'll drop some links in the description below and you can grab yourself one. In the meantime, I'm JB with iKoniKmodz. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.